I've been there scrolling through endless listings for a refrigerant recovery unit, seeing sleek photos, glossy marketing copy, and then getting the unit home only to find the touchscreen is sluggish, the wireless features never connect, and the whole thing feels like a paperweight when you actually need to pull our 1234YF from a modern car. That hesitation is real, and it's why I wanted to break down the Robinair AC1234 before you spend $100 on something that might end up gathering dust. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the problem this machine is trying to solve. The automotive industry has been shifting hard toward our 1234YF because it has a much lower global warming potential than the old R134A. That means every shop that services newer models, especially hybrids and EVs, suddenly needs a recovery and recharge tool that can actually handle the higher pressures and the different chemistry. The Robinair AC1234 markets itself as extreme versatility because it claims to work on both standard and high-voltage AC systems, and it's the only one I've seen that bundles Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and a 10.5-inch capacitive touchscreen into a single chassis. What makes that combination useful in a real-world shop? Imagine you're on a busy Friday morning, 3 cars queued up, each with a different AC fault. One is a 2022 Prius with a high-voltage hybrid battery, another a 2020 Camry still on our R134A, and a third a brand-new electric SUV that uses our 1234YF. With a traditional recovery machine you'd have to guess which hose, which valve, and you'd likely need a separate unit for the high-voltage system. The AC1234 lets you switch modes on the touchscreen, and because the software updates automatically over Wi-Fi, the latest refrigerant tables are always there. No more pulling out a laptop to look up pressure specs or scribbling notes on a pad. The touchscreen itself feels surprisingly responsive for a device that's meant to sit in a shop environment. The capacitive surface lets you swipe through the recovery, vacuum, and recharge cycles with a few taps, and the menus are color-coded: red for recovery, blue for recharge, which cuts down on accidental button presses when you're wearing gloves. I tried the programmable vacuum function on a 2019 R1234YF system that had been sitting idle for months. I set the machine to a 30-second pre-vacuum, followed by a 2-minute deep vacuum, and the unit executed the sequence without any manual intervention. That kind of automation is a genuine time saver when you're pulling refrigerant from a fleet of vehicles. Now, connectivity is the buzzword that makes many of us nervous. Does it actually work? In my shop I have a dedicated 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi network for tools, and the AC1234 paired without a hitch. Once linked, the machine pushes service data to the Robinair cloud, where I can pull reports later on my tablet. The Bluetooth side is handy when I'm on a mobile job. I can launch the companion app, connect, and start a recovery without ever opening the machine's front panel. The Mopria print service also works straight from the screen, so I can print a service report on the spot and hand it to the customer. No more digging for a laptop or scribbling on a notepad. All of that sounds great, but there are trade-offs you need to consider before you click Add to Cart. First, the price point is noticeably higher than a basic R134A recovery unit. That's not a surprise. You're paying for the Wi-Fi module, the larger screen, and the software ecosystem. If your shop only sees a handful of R1234YF jobs a month, the return on that investment could be slow. Second, the machine relies on a stable internet connection for automatic updates and cloud data syncing. In a garage with spotty Wi-Fi, you might end up with outdated refrigerant tables, which could lead to incorrect pressures. The workaround is to manually download updates onto a USB stick, but that adds a step you didn't anticipate. Another practical limitation is the learning curve. The touchscreen is intuitive once you've used it a few times, but the first day can feel like you're navigating a new operating system. The manual is dense, and while the on-screen help tips are useful, a technician who's used to a single-button recovery pump might need a short training session. I spent about 20 minutes watching Robinair's tutorial videos and then ran a test on a junker engine to get the hang of the flow rates and the programmable vacuum settings. After that, the workflow was smooth. but it's not something you can just plug in and master instantly. So, who should actually buy the Robinair AC12349? If you run a medium to large automotive shop that